Hey man, how's it going? I'm good. I'm good. Starting to get hot outside. I can feel it's yeah, it yeah, it's supposed to be cold one more time and then that's it. The heat is on. Yeah, it's been a few weeks. You know what? It's just yeah, I got it from somebody. It was just basically that a man, he built this car and then he passed away, and his wife just wanted it to go to a good home. And so I got it for a steal, but it's a 1936 Dodge D2, but it's not like a classic, regular, just classic. Yeah, you look at you could see they give me a packet with all the information. It has the history of the car. And so somebody bought it from Florida, moved it to New York, and they rebuilt it in the early 90s. Um, you know, and then a guy in Vegas bought it from the guy in New York, and they brought it down here, and he basically took the entire thing apart and like powder coated the frame, not an inch of rust on it. It's got a Mustang 2 front end, rear end. It's got a 380, 383, a 393 Hemi. Came out of a racing boat that had to be detuned because it was just too much power for the car. And so, it's basically like a 90s like a hot rod car, and it's very sweet, but it definitely is something, people. I'm driving, I just kind of drive around the block because it hasn't been driven in a long time. So I'm going through it and just making sure that, I don't have any issues with it. It's got air shocks. I mean, this car is just beautiful. And so it's purple. Yeah, it's yeah, like on the paperwork it says plum crazy purple. So yeah, no. I'm not big on that. Not big on that, no. I don't know, maybe one day, but n no. No, no, it's gotta be if I do that, then it's gotta be christened and, like, No, I just, it's just in the garage, and right now it's chilling. I was gonna take it today, but then we were gonna do this. So I took it out yesterday, and I went for a little cruise, and it really is, people stop me and, at stoplights. What is that? Because yeah, you see like car shows and stuff, and it's like Ford, Chevy, and then the Mercuries from the 40s, late 40s, early 50s. And but you know, don't really see it dodge too much, and it's sweet looking. It really is nice.
All right. I want to apologize to everybody because you know what? You've been watching my lips moving this whole time, and the microphone has not been on this whole time. So I want to apologize to you. Um, Aaron, so you said that you know, my question was, are you going to name it, that kind of stuff? But what are you going to actually use the car for? That's the question.
Well, I think that uh, pretty soon here, I think that there is let's say I'm already seeing it like kind of a move of the spirit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he wants to get people's attention, and I see that as something that can be really useful and like that, you know, taking out evangelists, and then, you know, I don't know, I don't, but that's really what I think.
Yes.
I think it could get people's attention and just
Oh
kind of
yeah.
lead them to the light. But you know, it's like there's this lady, and she's on another podcast that I watch, and she she's been doing this for about 20 years, hears from the Lord, like he gives her prophetic words about people, so she'll go to like um bad neighborhoods,
Mm-hmm.
you know, like conventions where there's bad things happening, and she just puts a sign out in front of her booth that says dream interpretation or come get a reading kind of thing. And basically it's just, you know,
Yeah.
the Lord is saying, okay, this person was hurt when she was a little kid or whatever it is, and then she leads them to the Lord. So it's like,
Yeah.
you know, um it's not, I don't see it as like trickery, but I see it as like, I'm
No.
going to get your attention and then I'm going to show you what it's really about, you know?
Oh yeah. Well, Paul said something very interesting. He says, you know, I became all things to all people. You know,
Yeah.
he brought Jesus however he needed to bring Jesus, because a lot of people don't, especially nowadays. You know, they need something to what do they call it, um, to connect with. You know, they need a way to connect with it. It needs to be some kind of familiar. And some people do car shows, and we've done that many times. Some people it's music. You know, I don't see any difference between you having a concert and then bringing the word as opposed to a car. You know, Jesus. None of those were in the Old Testament, right? I mean, none of those were rock concerts. You know, Elevation. You know, those guys were not in the the Old Testament. So, or
Yeah,
they even
that's
in the New
true. Like
Testament.
he did say, I didn't come here to, you know, speak, uh, you know, intelligent words. I just came to show you. I
Yeah,
just came to show you the power of God, you know? So
yeah, sure.
however he shows you, how then that's what it is, you know, however he gets people's
Yeah,
attention and then shows them. But
yeah.
you know, it's there's a move. It's happening. I, I feel so much better lately. I don't know. I can't
Yeah,
explain it. I
yeah.
feel spiritually like it's just opening up.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, and we're getting close to Easter, which is
yeah,
very cool. Easter is just around the corner. It is. We're going to be going to a Seder Saturday, so very excited about that. We'll be able to break bread and break lamb together. Now, and so my a couple of folks have found this out, and a friend of mine is a pastor friend of mine. He invited us to that, and so of course we extended that invitation to you and the lovely Cecilia. And so
yeah.
let me ask you a question. Have you ever been to a Seder before? Or are you excited about it? Or you know, what's your take on it?
No, I've never been, or I didn't really know much about it. And my question is, do I have to wear like a sport coat or something? Because you know
No,
me.
no. You don't have to wear a sport coat,
Okay, I had to borrow
but you have
one.
to drive. But
Uh,
you have to drive your car. You got to drive your car though.
yeah,
I
yeah,
think that's biblical that you drive the car over and you
yeah. We'll
bring your
see. Because
ride with
I don't
you.
like, I don't want to leave it in a parking lot because I used to have the '66 Mercury that I bought,
Yeah.
and it was like this lady bought it. She drove it for a year and then parked it in her garage. So it
Mhm.
had like no miles on it. It was immaculate. This car was like
Mhm.
brand new. And so I didn't have a car at the time. So this guy, he's like, hey, I'm selling this car. It's like $1,500, whatever. And I was like, oh yeah. So that was my daily driver, and people would
Sure.
constantly come up to it, and like some guy was drunk and he rammed his the handlebars of his bike and scratched it. I was just good
I
stuff. Yeah.
understand. I understand completely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Well, let's well, maybe we'll put off bringing the car until, you know, so you can actually be with it 24, but
yeah, right.
but no, the Seder. So I'll give you kind of so the Seder is actually almost like a 7-course meal, and this one is going to be actually presided over by a rabbi. So that's going to be very cool. We went to one last year. We've gone to them in the past. Never been by a rabbi though. It's always been somebody who's really well versed in the rabbinic, pageantry of this whole thing, which basically know what they're doing. But this is going to be with a rabbi himself, and it talks about the Seder, and the Seder is basically a traditional meal that is eaten every year by Jews all around the world, and it commemorates the Exodus out of Egypt. And so they'll talk about some of the foods that they're eating and the meaning and the symbolism by them. Why do you have lamb? Why do you have unleavened bread? Why do you have this and why do you have that? And it's so very cool. It's a great remembrance ceremony. Looking really forward to this. And anytime we can get to go to one, we encourage people to go out there and be a part of a Seder. So, and I'm glad we're going to be able to share it with you guys.
Yeah, that'll be fun. I'm excited. I never even I didn't know even that that's what it was called. I know there's like a Passover meal, right? But
Mhm.
I didn't know anything about that. So I'm excited.
Yeah, same thing.
Eat
So the
some new
Passover
food.
meal is the same thing as a Seder. Yeah, so it's going to be,
Yeah.
and it's celebrated every single year, and so we're I mean, really excited, especially because there's a rabbi. And now you know this, and some people have been watching the show long enough have known this, is that Linda and I are getting more and more involved in the whole Jewish,
Mm-hmm.
history, the historical things, and the reason why is pretty, I think, straightforward. Is because we only have a part of our Jewish, our Christian culture under our belts. Okay, we've got we, we've got this. Okay, we've got our Bible, right? And most Christians only read the New Testament. Many Christians read the Old Testament, but they don't celebrate their Jewish heritage in the Tanakh, right? In the first 5 books of the Bible. So the Jews don't have the Messiah part. We don't have the traditions and the Old Testament laws and the rabbinic stuff. We don't have that. So so my wife and I we're trying to understand those things because it brings a more fullness of the Bible. Because I think what we do is we take certain customs, we take certain verses of scripture, and we don't really realize what they really are. When a Jew himself would go, wait, no, that doesn't mean that, or there's more to that meaning than what you're thinking. So that's why this whole Seder done by a rabbi is so important because I think he's going to be bringing out so much more. So with that context, I think it's going to be just fantastic.
When I was young, but I worked at a summer camp during the summer in Lake Arrowhead in California, and
Mhm.
me and my friend they had a different like they had a Christian pastor and Catholic, and there was some rabbis there also. They all were to for the needs of the kids that were at the camp, and it was a Boy Scout camp. And so I remember me and my friend befriended the rabbis, and they were one of them was very like cut, dry, nope, never smiled, always very stoic, you know. But the other guy was funny and like he was real fun to hang out with. He was a funny guy, and he'd be like, yeah, he's a little tough, you know, but don't worry about it. That's just him, you know. And so I learned a lot though. I was young, but I remember learning a lot. They taught us a lot, but much
Hmm.
do I remember? No, not really. I was pretty young, but it was fun. I had a good time. They
Yeah.
were good people.
Well, well, I hope this one right here is going to be pretty cool. Um, well, let's talk a little bit about what's going on culturally right now in America, because America is going through some crazy, crazy things, and I think as people probably are well acquainted with. Hope we that's what we talk about. We talk a lot about what the Lord is doing in America and in the world. And one of the things that we've been seeing happen culturally is the shift that we've seen in this country under the administration of the Trump administration. Donald Trump came into office and he made a lot of promises to the American people. He said he was going to reduce this, he was going to end that, he was going to do this, he was going to do that. But one of the things that he's really been pushing through for right now are these tariffs that he's been uh, issuing to the entire world. Now, earlier this week, he said to people, he said, "Guess what? Believe it was Friday," and he said we're going to implement these taxes, these tariffs on all of these countries. They're called reciprocal tariffs, which basically means if you tariff us 5-10%, we're going to do the same thing to you. And when they implemented that, all of a sudden the world went crazy, and they basically said that it's the end of the world. It's the end of the world. And by Monday, the stock market, which had been dying, all of a sudden started rebounding. And now, then it went up as high as it's ever gone up in, a single point. And now it's basically back to where it was in 2024. I mean, because it had gone to some historic heights, and now it's really where it was at 2024, which was high anyways.
Hmm.
So, Aaron, so this is my, and we'll go on to the China portion of this in just a second. But what do you think about the tariffs that the president has been implementing? Fair, unfair, surprising, gutsy move? What do you think about that?
I'm not surprised actually
Mm,
because he said he was going to do these things, which is awesome. But also, I think the world has taken advantage of us for
mm,
so long that I mean, we see the inflation and all these things happening, and how connected it is to. I'm not 100% sure how connected it is to these things, but we print money and we have nothing to back it, and we spend more. So we need more money, spend, just print more money. Well, this caused inflation. Now the tariff, I I I basically see like, look, we have you ever bought anything from Europe? You ever bought anything online from Europe?
no. Mm-mm.
Okay, so I buy things
Yeah.
sometimes from Europe.
Yeah.
I
Mm-hmm.
bought some stuff from England not too long. No, no, not England. I'm sorry, they're not part of it. But Czechoslovakia. I bought some stuff, and
Yeah.
there's what's called a VAT tax.
Okay.
Okay, so if I bought $150 worth of stuff, the VAT tax is $100. So I'm basically paying $250. So this is what they've been doing to us, and I don't see, like, my wife sells trees all over the world, and they have to pay the tariff, whatever the tax is, but it's not very high. But buying things from other countries, importing it, it's ridiculous. The VAT tax
Mm-hmm.
is very expensive. So I see so many things that I want to get, and you pay for shipping, which it's not too bad. I used to buy things from the store, and the shipping was like $20, but the VAT was so ridiculous. So I think it's good. I think he's saying, you know what? You want to tax us so much? Well, we're going to do it to you. But I don't think what people understand is that the world needs our we they need to sell to us. We buy the most amount of
Yeah.
products from the world. This country is so, I mean, yeah, there's poverty and there's this, but we we buy so much of the world, and they're going to hurt. They're going to be hurting if they can't bring it into the
Mm-hmm.
United States. So it's like, you know, um, it's really going to hurt them. And I think he just wanted to bring them to the table and say, look, let's negotiate. You don't want to pay a tariff in the United States, then take away your VAT. You know,
Yeah,
I think
take
it's
away your
awesome.
VAT.
And you
Sure.
talked about the
Mm-hmm.
money, right? I don't think that was a problem with. I think it was the hedge fund, the Wall Street punishing, like saying, "Oh, you're gonna do this tariffs on all these countries, watch the stock market drop." But it came back very quickly because people realized this is dumb. Look at what they're doing,
Mm-hmm.
and so all I really hear complain most is liberal media saying how we're gonna blow up the world with our
Yeah.
tariffs, but
Mm-hmm.
it's showing that it's not really like they say.
Yeah. Well, so to continue with that conversation about the whole tariffs things, the Trump administration put the tariff on, I think it was 75 countries or whatever it was, and the only country, and then they put a pause on it. They said, well, we're going to give it a 90-day pause, and when they put a 90-day pause on the tariffs, implementing these tariffs, and they were all reciprocal. So if you were a country that gave us 10%, 20%, we would giving you 10% or 20%. Well, they said, and then a lot of countries started coming back to America saying, hey, we're going to negotiate with you Americans. Because like you were saying, they were saying that if we can't sell in America, who are we going to sell this stuff to, right? And so Israel was in here, Japan was in here. We had all these countries that were lining up across. They were being facetious, saying that the hotels in front of the White House were full of all these foreigners coming in saying we're lining up to get on the phone and to talk to the president. Well, they put a 90-day pause on it, and then the stock market once again just came roaring back because they found out that all these countries are saying yes, we are going to play ball with you, America. Because as one commentator said, he said between China and America, we have half of the world's consumption. We consume basically half of the world's shipping, manufacturing, all that stuff comes in either to China or comes to America. And China's got what, 2 billion people in it, right? Whatever it is. We only have 300 some odd million, and between the two of us, we're like chomping up everything. So here comes China, the only country that is going to continue to have those tariffs on them is China. And not only just a little bit, I think it's up to 125% now. 100.
Yeah,
So it was. I think when we originally started talking about it, it was 84%. Now it's up to 125% tariff on China. So um, uh, let me put that to you now. So what do you think about us now going after China specifically, and why are we going after China?
well, China is economy. Let me just say this at the very beginning. China's economy won't be able to handle this. They're gonna fail. Okay, their economy relies on us,
Mm-hmm.
and so if we cut that, right? If we cut that lifeline, they're because they're already reaching out. I read a story today. They're reaching out to other countries and saying, "Help us with our stance against America," and everybody's like, "No, yeah, we're not doing that." But China economy is a farce. I know
Yeah.
this is just a spiritual thing. It's gonna fail.
Yeah.
If you see things like they have these cities that they always show that are like, oh, look at these great cities that China builds. They're all empty. There's
Mm.
nobody living in them. It's just a farce. Just like North Korea, same thing. Their economy is just toasted. But they have like whenever you see pictures of North Korea that are led out of North Korea, it's Pyongyang, and there's like shopping malls and grocery stores and all this. But it's all farce. You can't go in there and buy anything. It's just for looks. China is the same thing. Now they're so I mean, we could just leave it at that. They are not gonna be able to come against the American economy, and a lot of their economy runs on what we buy from them. We
Yeah.
purchase so much stuff from China. Now,
Yeah.
I know that these things are gonna take time, right? It's
Hmm.
not. I hear like, oh, Trump says he's gonna do this, and what's happening, but you have to be patient. Just like we talked about before, where God will say something to you, he'll show you something,
Yes.
whatever, but now you got to be patient with him because it'll come out when he's ready to show you. Well, it's
Hmm.
just like this. It's the same thing. Be patient and calm. Over time, these things will, steamroll into what it is. I just know China's economy it's a farce, man. I've
Yeah.
been there. Like I see, there's 4 billion people there, but most of them are poor and they can't afford to buy things from,
From their own
imported
place.
stuff.
From their own place.
Yeah,
That's funny. I think
yeah.
I heard a commentator say something, and he said that we only export to China like 12%, or that only 12% of our goods can go into China. Okay, China way out exports stuff to America, so we have all the cards. We cut off China, China dies.
Uh,
Also, they were talking about China's aging population. They had a guy on who was very interesting. He was a venture capitalist from Silicon Valley, and he said something so. And he went on. Now you know the guy is good if Laura Ingraham lets him talk, because Laura generally doesn't let you talk. And she was like, "Oh my gosh, I never heard this before." So the guy was talking about China and the reason why people will work with America and not China. Going back to what you said about these countries, that when China came to them and said, "Hey, side with us against America," and they went, "I don't think so." China's government, their political system, their economic system, their their open doors or not open doors are not conducive to businesses wanting to trust China.
mhm.
Intellectual property, right? You give up all your intellectual property if you deal with China. So it's not it's a even though they have billions of people, they're going, no, this isn't worth it. America, on the other hand, you can open up a shop there, you can invest there, you can make all kinds of money there, and the Americans don't care. They'll buy anything, right? Um, so 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 China is but so what they're saying now is China needs a way to gracefully get out of this because right now they are the last man holding they're the last guy with the holding the fuse for the dynamite. And they're
Mhm.
everybody's passed it to each other, and they're going, here, you hold that, you hold the dynamite, you hold the dynamite, you, and they're like Bugs Bunny just handed the Wile E. Coyote or whatever a thing of dynamite, and that fuse is ticking down, man. It's ticking down, and what are they gonna do?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's it right there. It's a farce, man. A communist country. How many? Well, let's just say this: like it, Vietnam is a communist country, but they have free trade and they have
Mm-hmm.
kind of like a same economic system that we do.
Mm-hmm.
But China, Russia, when it was a communist country, all these communist countries eventually collapsed because their economy was a
Yeah.
farce. It's you know you can't control, like, you can control the people with how you want, but eventually the people are just not going to do it. You know what I mean? It's hard to
Mm-hmm.
it's hard to
Sure.
say what I'm thinking, but I mean, communism just does not work. And we saw how quickly, in 2020, 21, how these things that were happening here, right? Like with the riots and the pulling down of statues and stuff. That's all the things that happened in China, Russia,
Mm-hmm.
all these countries. First thing they did was we need to tear down the history and
Yeah.
change it. Now 1419 project is our new history. That what we learned all these years, that's not real history. This
Mm-hmm.
is your new history. Tear down the statues so you don't remember, change the names of the navy ships so we don't think about that because it hurts somebody's feelings somewhere. It's all just a ploy, but it failed because
Yeah.
people love this country and they love the history and they know what it's about. that
Mm-hmm.
that I remember seeing the first thing that happened, right? It was like during that time and the riots and these National Guard in California, and the rioters got them to kneel with them in solidarity. They're like, yeah, let's all kneel. And there was one soldier that was just standing there like, no, I'm not doing that. And I remember thinking to myself, this is an idol. These
Yeah.
people have brought this man and made a wood statue of him, and this is now an idol. And this idol, we're bringing this idol, and you need to bow to it, right? Like Nebuchadnezzar said, you need to bow to the statue of me. Here's the statue. Everybody needs to kneel to it because this is the new idol, this man that what they brought. And I remember thinking like, wow, one man finally said no. I mean, he didn't say anything. Me, I probably would have said something, but nonetheless, this is the kind of culture war that we're seeing with the tariffs. And the tariffs are like, you tax us so much. Well, now you're going to stop ripping us off.
Yeah.
And I think it's a good thing. I think it's a really good thing. It just takes time. There's probably going to be a little bit of pain, but
Mhm.
it's going to happen.
I think you're right. I think there's a spiritual parallel here too. I really do, and because even as you were saying, I was going. Laura was speaking to me, saying there's a spiritual parallel here, where you've got people who are following Baal, and they follow him day in and day out, day in and day out. But eventually, because it's built upon the whole Baal system is built upon sand, it's going to crumble. It eventually is going to
Mm-hmm.
crumble, and people are going to eventually say, "We're enough." America, I believe, is in the throes of that right now. Over the last 4 years, as I'm watching commentators start to reveal what has happened over the last 4 years under the Biden administration, they're saying we cannot believe that we fell for this, that we as a country allowed our country to go down this road, and now even and now the conservatives are in more Christian like. I'm not going to say they're Christian. I'm going to say they're more Christian like. But we've had enough. Because that system could not go. It couldn't. It was deemed to fail. America was on a trajectory, and many people were saying this, that the Biden administration, we were just a couple of years from default as a country, because politically, economically, morally, for sure morally, we were at a precipice in America, where you've got people thinking that he is a she and they is a them, and you know, and it's just ridiculous. But now we're at a place right now where people are going, well, dang it. When the President Trump said that it's official now that that the American government recognizes, there are only two sexes, people went, yeah, yeah, right on, And it's like, it wasn't even like it was a pause in America. America, with one voice, said, yes, this is what we want. Now, not to say that you're not going to see people fight against this. I mean, you're definitely, once evil has tasted a little bit of victory, evil wants to keep clawing back. But America, I think spiritually, is much like the battle right now with China globally, and people now, it's on a macro level, right? It's on a big scale now. The world is going, why are we following China? Why are we, we've been dealing with these guys, and we found out during COVID that these guys are screwing us. They don't care about us. They care about world domination. The Americans, not so much. So am I getting close on that, do you think?
Well, yeah. I think if you think about it spiritually, right? Remember, there was a dream. Um, I don't remember when we talked about it. I could look it up, but I was standing like in the heavens, I guess you could say, because there was like planets and stars beneath my feet. But I
Mm-hmm.
saw people walking and their heads were down like this, and they were just kind of like shuffling through. And I
Mm-hmm.
saw I saw the Lord, and he had a big sword, and he was cutting those people. He was slicing them, and he said, now that I'm slicing them in the spirit, and now that you will see them fall in the natural. And I think about like where are we at spiritually as a nation, right? I think the serpent is dying.
Mm.
and the serpent that's wrapped himself around us, right, and is squeezing us and has got it. The tentacles of the tree are so deep and dark throughout this country that you have people in high positions that we see every day, but from them another route and another route, and we USAID and the Department of Education, and the roots spread out. But
Mm-hmm.
now it's dying, and but before it dies, it's gonna thrash around and try to bite as many people as possible.
Yeah.
So now that it's slowly dying, and you once the spiritual side is gone, once they're think about like in Isaiah, or oh geez, when he fought the prophets of Baal, and he says,
Mm-hmm.
Elisha fought the prophets of Baal, I'm
Sure.
sorry. And He's like, well, where's your God? Where's your God? What is he taking? Is he in the bathroom? It's like he go now, so that they're like trying to reach out to their Baal system, and the Baal system is just failing them because he's hiding from the light. And this is definitely where we're at, like now that the spiritual side is maybe cut, now the flesh is going to take over, and they're just going to yell and scream and rah,
Mm-hmm.
rah. That's how they got their way for the last 4 years, where I'm going to be the loudest and people are going to be like, all right, fine, fine, just shut up. and
Yeah.
and but now it's not working anymore. People are just
No.
so irritated with it.
Mm-hmm.
Who wants to have a 30-year-old child throwing tantrums? uh it's like, just sit down. Don't
Oh
spare
yeah.
the rod
Sure.
anymore.
Yeah, I think there's parallels here too. I think there's parallels here. There was the story that was out of the New York Post, and it was talking about how the Supreme Court, how the Trump administration had been pushing to get these drug gang members out of the country, and a couple of weeks ago they loaded up a plane, loaded up about 250 of these Tren de Aragua guys, and took them to El Salvador, and immediately Democrats went judge shopping to some judge in
Yeah.
the DC, and they tried to get this stopped. Well, the Supreme Court just ruled on this and said no. The Trump administration they're well within their rights to go ahead and use, it's called the Alien Enemies Act, of
Sure.
what is it, 1700s, 1798. Um,
1798. Yeah.
yeah, 1798, yeah. And they said that they can use that act to enforce, immigration, with a couple of stipulations. But here's the thing about it, and it goes back to what we're saying, that the American people are now starting to see the light. 87% of Americans think yes, they should do this. Or a large. It's the same thing with the Voting Rights Act, or not a Voting Rights Act, but there's a bill going through Congress right now that is passed, and basically it's a reform on voting. And basically they're saying you cannot vote in federal elections unless you can prove that you're an American citizen. And 87% of the American people are saying, yeah, we believe that's a great idea. And Democrats, once again, are pushing back, going, oh no. And it's the same thing over and over again. I love this. They go, well, it's unfair, it's racist. It's always racist. Why is it always racist? Is that always what you go back to? It's racism to tell people that have come into our country illegally, who are killing people, drug trafficking, sex trafficking, people who are getting benefits from this country that they should not have. It's all racist. Is it always that? How about it's just evil? It's just evil. These people come into our country doing what they're doing, and the American people are fed up with it. Um, how about your reaction to that?
Well, I so racist, right? Racist. You're racist. That's people. It makes people cower down.
Mm-hmm.
Weak people. Let's say people that are just, oh gosh, you're right. Like, no, that's racist. Poor people. Like, no, that just it causes people to shudder.
Yeah.
But um, oh gosh, I kind of lost my train of thought. So that act, right, where he can
Mm-hmm.
deport people, and then the bill that's going through where you
Yeah.
have to have a driver's license. I mean, these people they got here. Okay, here's what's happening, right? Here's what's happening in the spirit is that people are being exposed, right?
Yep.
And so while the last administration, that man was not the president. He was just the face, but he slept and ate ice cream. He was not the one running the country. So while they were there, they decided, well, we can control the courts and we can get the courts to work for our favor when if he gets elected, and we can still the only person, they targeted his people before, while he was there. They targeted his Roger Stone and all these people, General Flynn, but then they targeted him. We can't let him be president. We can't let him be president because it's going to ruin our plans. Well, he got in. They put as many judges as they can. So like, okay, well, if he wins again, we can just still run the country, but through the court system now.
Yep.
Right? People are seeing it. People are done. It's but still, like, I see people on podcasts where it's like, Donald Trump is a racist, misogynist, blah blah blah. Prove me wrong, and I'm just listening. And these people, they don't have good points. All they're doing is reading. Like one lady was saying that Afghanistan was all Trump's fault, Trump, and it's like, okay, so you're just reading a bunch of stuff off the internet, but what did you see with your eyes?
Yeah.
And that's the problem. People don't. No, I don't care. I didn't see that. Yes, you did. What did you see actually with your eyes? You saw Joe Biden was the president. We're going to have this pull out of Afghanistan, leave all of our equipment there for the Taliban, and then people got hurt. But it was always still a way to blame him, to do these things. So, that's racist. All these things they say about it. No, these people are criminals. They broke the law to come here. It's not, just that right there should get them sent back, breaking the law to come in this country. Whatever it is, whatever they call you, whatever they say, it's all just, I'm gonna yell loudest. I'm gonna be the loudest yeller, and it's gonna cause people to shudder. But I just think that people are sick of it now.
I think so. I think you're right. I think people are really sick of it. And I'm hoping that the American people get smart about this, because there's I think as an American people, we are pretty pragmatic people. I think we're, by and large, a civil society. By and large, we're pretty sensible people. At least the people that are, keeping up with, current affairs. And we get it. And I think the American people, when they see somebody kick a dog or something like that, they go, "Hey, don't do that." So we have and if we see something wrong, by and large, most American people go, "Hey, that is not right." Over the last 4 years, though, they've been bullied into a corner. Sometimes it is like the left has said, basically, we will dox you, we will burn down your house, we'll boycott your business, we'll do all kinds of things to make you do what we want you to do. And now American people are going, "Hey, guess what? You guys aren't in power anymore. Trump is in power now. The Republicans are in power now. We don't have to do this." Now there's the thing now, is all these books are coming out. I don't know if you noticed this, if you saw this. All these books are coming out now. And the books are writing about Joe Biden. And as you said before, people are saying, "I was so disappointed." Because they worked in the Biden administration, and they said, "Oh my gosh, I was shocked. I was shocked not just as somebody who worked in the White House. I was shocked for the American people that this guy was not there. He was not there all the time. He was there physically, but emotionally, mentally, he was not there." And so, and now they're starting to go, "What has happened to the Democrat Party? Why did they do what they're doing?" It's almost like you have a shadow government leading the Democrat Party.
Well, they tried to extend it with the courts. It is total, like, that man was not making any decisions. He wasn't running the country. Like, there is no way that it. But I know that we are in this time of exposure, right? Because evil can only be evil for so long, and eventually the cracks start to show. And this is where we're at. It's just taking time, you know?
Hmm.
It's just slowly coming out. And
Yeah.
you know, it's but
Yeah.
you had the media pushing him,
Oh
pushing,
yeah.
oh, Joe Biden's the best president, Joe Biden, and people still don't see it. They still watch
Yeah.
CNN and MSNBC, and they still like MSNBC has a show on right now. I can't think of the name of it, but it's like they sit at a round table and have one conservative guy, and the rest of them are Democrats. And all I see is that man smashing all of them on a regular basis.
Oh, good.
It's like
Yeah.
it's like, they bring up something, he's like, "That's a lie. No, you're
Yeah.
lying." And oh, how dare you say, I'm a
Well,
strong black woman. No, no, you're just lying. You're lying
you're
now,
just
and then you
lying.
want
Sure.
me to cower down in the corner. I'm not going to do it. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, I just
Well, so
it's
the
I
the
just
truth it's just like you putting a Bible up in front of people, right? You put a Bible up in front of some people that are saying this, that, or the other thing, and well, let's find out if that's true, right? You can't argue with the truth. I don't think we as Republicans, or I shouldn't say we as Republicans, I think we as people who are conservatives, people who have the truth on our side, have to resort to we don't have to resort to trickery. We don't have to resort to saying, oh, you're racist, you're a homophobe, you're this. We don't have to get people all ginned up emotionally for them to see the truth, because we have the truth, right?
That's right.
And the truth shall set you free.
You know what? That is 100% correct. I don't have to like yell and scream.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? When you're done screaming, I'll just tell you exactly what's really happening.
That's it.
I see that. I see that in the secular world, the political world, but I
Mm-hmm.
also see it and in different circles. And people will take this book,
Mm-hmm.
right, the Bible, and dissect every single letter
Oh yeah.
or word
Mm-hmm.
in a verse in the book in the scripture,
Mm-hmm.
and dissect, and then when you try to talk to them about it, they use very big words to say that's not this is what it means. But it's up to you to read it, to understand it. These things will be illuminated once you read. I notice that, like, when I read the Bible, oh, I heard this before, and this was I understand now what he's saying, or that's wrong. That guy was teaching wrong, you
Oh
know.
yeah. Oh yeah.
But
Sure.
it's just illumination. I want to actually say something about a dream, and I'm gonna just
Sure.
this is one we talked about maybe a couple times
Uh-huh.
about the fire falling, right?
Okay.
That fire is starting to fall, and people are starting to wake up, and it's not like I'm seeing fire fall from heaven. I know we're gonna see things. We're gonna see things that are just like, oh my goodness, you can't deny that God has His hand in everything,
Uh-huh.
right? But that fire is starting to fall little by little, drop, drop. Maybe in the government, maybe some in Israel, maybe some in your own church, right? But it's one, two, three. In this dream, the fire was falling, and it was just like one, two, three, like just slow, boom, 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 and then it started gathering, and there was things on fire and on fire for God, like in the spiritual, like not strange fire, but God's fire, like when God would send fire down to at the altar during the when they lived out in the woods, and He would burn up the offering, right? Or like just like we talked about earlier with Elijah, the fire would come down, burn up the altar, or burn up the offering. It's the same thing. These things are starting to happen, and but you know it takes that understanding of scripture, understanding how God works, right? The Bible is not a textbook on how to become the most knowledgeable about every single scripture word, whatever. It's a book on how to understand God's heart, how to live, how to have a heart for God, how to live with that heart for God,
Mm-hmm.
understanding what He's done, what He's doing, and what He's going to do. Because His people are being hurt right now. Like in the last 4 years, they were being hurt. They were being crying out to him, God, please help us, just like the Israelites in Egypt. They cried out, I hear my people,
Yep.
I'm coming down. Now, they cried out for years. It didn't just happen overnight, but when it happens overnight. But they cried out for years. They were being oppressed for years. And
Yeah.
so he heard them, heard their cries, just like he heard our cries during the last 4 years. God, we don't want our country to turn into some
Yeah.
evil, uh, you know, um, uh, you know, different pronouns, men or women. We don't want that.
Oh yeah.
We
Yeah.
want to have
Sure.
the country that we've had and that we want, and so that fire has been falling one, two, three, and it's just one after another, and it's like you see the exposure in the government with the
Oh
finances,
yeah.
right? That's the root of all evil is
Woo!
not money is not evil, but the love of money is the root of evil.
Yeah.
And so when somebody can take the taxpayers' money and nobody knows about it, they're going to keep doing it. And when it's time for them to go, they're going to pass it to the next guy. Check this out. This is the
Yeah.
easiest way to get it. How
You
do
know.
all these senators become multimillionaires and they have
Oh,
$150,000?
a
It's the
year.
root. The love of money is the root of all
Yes.
evil, not
It,
money itself.
and I think you are really. It's funny. I was just thinking of the word Doge, right? I just happen to have
Mm-hmm.
my Google Translate. Now it's interesting. There are two letters in Doge. I'm not going to say that this is it, guys. So please don't quote me on this because I know people are watching. They're going, "Oh, he said Doge has got something to do with some hidden secret Hebrew language." But I can guarantee this: there is something behind it. That because the Dalit, so Doge, Doge, right? Dalit, and then they've got a vowel, and then it's Gimel, and then another vowel, right? So it's Dalit and Gimel. Those two letters mean something in Hebrew, and I think that they're going to probably, if I were a Jewish scholar, I would probably figure out that has something to do with, because you said something very interesting, that it has to do with the revealing of things.
Mm-hmm.
Things are
Mm-hmm.
being revealed right now, and I think you're on to something there, where this is that season of revealing, and God is going to be revealing things because I think what has happened over the centuries is Satan has tried to um, do his dirty work under the radar. People haven't seen it. People have not been able to um, uh, figure it out until it's too late. And that's what happened with our government just recently. Our government over the last 4 years was getting away with stuff, and you had a media that was complicit with it until all of a sudden you've got, and it's not like people weren't saying anything, right? Just kind of how it is now. People have said, "Hey, watch out, watch out." You've had the people on the watchmen on the wall who've been saying, "Hey, be careful, be careful." But now, 4 years later, people are coming out of the woodwork and they're saying, "Guys, you just don't know how bad this was. This was bad." you know, and thank God, and I thank God I made it out of it. Ooh, but I'm going to tell you about it in this new book. I got this new book that's going to tell you all about
Mm-hmm.
all of the things that are going on. So, um,
Well,
let me,
you know,
yeah, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. With that, there was another dream, and I was looking for it today, and I couldn't find it. I'm writing them down in a book, but I haven't got to this one yet. But I
Mm-hmm.
did have a dream with I saw the three big um, social media platforms,
Mm-hmm.
Facebook, um, oh gosh, Google, and
Mm-hmm.
something else. I don't know if it was I don't know, but they were there was big media platforms and they were represented by women. And one was a black woman, one was a Hispanic woman, and one was a white woman. And I
Mm-hmm.
knew that the Facebook, or I think it was the black woman, was kind of she was being promiscuous with a lot of people,
Oh.
and like she was in kind of in bed with like I can't remember exactly what scripture it is, but the God is telling his people that you have been the whore with all these other countries, right? So
Oh.
you weren't just about your people, you were actually neighing after other countries. You were playing the harlot. You get dressed up
Mm-hmm.
and put on your makeup, and you paint your face with crayons, and you played the the harlot. And it's like, okay, are we going to see something big? I know these companies were out there and they were at the election ceremony and stuff like that, but I really don't think we've really understood the role that they've played, because I can't,
Mm-hmm.
these people were lying to us, the media,
Sure.
and then you saw social media how they blocked conservatives. There's no like, oh, the government made us do it. No, no, no. You know what
Uh,
you did. You
yeah.
know, you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
I think you
So
had
in
Mark
this dream,
Zuckerberg say something about that, right? Yeah.
yeah, I think in this dream it really represented them, and maybe one was Amazon. I don't know. I thought it was Twitter at the time, but I don't really know. God hasn't revealed it all to me. I just know that in that dream, the big one was being the harlot with other people, and so I'll
Yeah.
just leave it at that. I feel like there's going to be some more revealing about Facebook soon. I
I
feel like
think you're
there's
probably
something
right. Yeah.
really
Yeah.
dirty about.
Yeah. Well, Aaron, we've just got one more minute. We've just got about another minute left in the show here. But let's going forward. We got America is once again at a place where we are going to over the weekend. I think you're going to see some other fireworks. You're going to see some stuff with more stuff with China. You're going to see because they are still out there. Really, the rest of the world right now is going, woo. We aren't the last one holding the stick of dynamite, right? As far as their economy goes. But China is, and we've not seen something on this scale ever in life. Trump has been like flint. He has just been like a stone that is not he's immovable, and China has been so. What do you think is going to happen moving forward? Put on your hat and say, okay, Lord, what do you think is going to happen? Do you think there's going to be some movement by China by Monday, or what do you think is going to happen?
I don't know. I can't put timelines on things or dates, but I know they're gonna buckle. They are
Mm-hmm.
definitely gonna buckle. They're. It's a farce. There's a battle between the eagle and the serpent right now, and the
Mm.
the serpent is going
Or
to
the
lose.
eagle and the
We know
dragon.
the eagle and the dragon, right? Or
Yes.
well, I say serpent because but same difference, right? And we know that the
Yeah.
dragon represents darkness, and we know
Oh
that one
yeah.
of the faces around God's throne is an eagle.
Yeah.
So let's just, and then you were talking about Doge, right? If you take Doge and put it backwards, it's God,
Egod.
EGOD,
Yes.
right? So what? So we think that God doesn't see all the things we do on the computer, but
Ooh.
He's the God of everything.
Oh.
He's
Yes.
the God of everything. He knows exactly what you did,
Ooh.
when you did. You could type it and send it in a secure email, but He is the God of everything. There
Boom.
is no getting around it.
I like it. See, there's
Yeah.
always. Oh, I knew there was a reason. I knew that Doge meant something. Um,
Yeah.
and you heard
You
it here
can't hide
first,
from Him.
folks. You can't
You
hide
can't
from
hide
God.
from Him.
You
I
can't
think that
hide from
these are
God.
the things that are about to be exposed. What people thought they were hiding, emails, whatever it was, they were
Hide.
hiding it. Nobody's gonna find it, but
There's
God
a
knows
great
everything, and He's the one
unveiling.
doing the exposing. It is all
Yeah,
Him doing the exposing.
that's they
Like
go. It's the great
Elon Musk.
unveiling, right? Yes,
Yeah,
he's
Elon Musk is just the vessel. Trump is just the
yes,
vessel.
yeah, yeah.
God's
I
doing
think
all
you're
the
right.
exposing.
God is doing all the exposing. Aaron, thank you once again for being a part of the broadcast, brother. I'm looking forward to getting with you and your lovely wife this weekend for a Seder dinner. And so let's break bread together, and maybe if Aaron drives his car, you're going to see it on the show because I'm going to take pictures of it. There's no guarantees, folks. There's no pressure, but if he does, you're going to see it here on This Week in Prophecy.
Okay, man.
We'll see you Saturday, okay?
Oh, your sound cut off.
Oh, I'm sorry. We will see you Saturday, okay? All right. All right.
See you
Bye-bye.
later.
All right. And folks, once again, thank you so much for being a part of the broadcast. And like I said, there is a great, as Aaron was saying, that there's a great unveiling going on right now in America. And I think we're going to be surprised. I think we're really going to be surprised what we're going to see. So keep your eyes open, keep your hearts pure, and we will see you again next week for This Week in Prophecy. Folks, thank you so much for being a part of the broadcast. Oh, let me change something here because it looks like things get changed overnight. We're having some technical difficulties here, but we'll get it. We'll get it just perfect, okay? Anyways, this has been Pastor Sherman Ray for This Week in Prophecy, guys. We will see you again next week. You guys have a blessed weekend. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.